let's get started with our first news. Islam Makhachev was surprisingly offered the chance to defend the welterweight title in January, and the UFC pushed hard for it. According to Ali in his interview with MMA Junkie, the UFC wanted Islam headlining a major event at the start of the year. The idea was big, the stakes were huge, and the promotion believed it could deliver a blockbuster moment. But despite the excitement, things didn't go the way the UFC hoped. Ali explained that when the UFC reached out, they were very serious. They wanted Islam in a 5-round main event, and they needed a champion willing to step in quickly. Islam considered it for a moment, and the talks seemed to be moving forward. Kamaru Usman was one of the key names discussed, a former champion who still carries massive star power and credibility. His name being in the mix instantly raised the stakes. Ian Gary was another name considered, a rising contender with hype, momentum, and a growing fan base. The UFC viewed both matchups as potential big sellers, but according to Ali, everything changed when Khabib stepped in. He told Islam to slow down, think, and ultimately said, "Hey, shut up," shutting the entire idea down. For Khabib, the priority was clear: protect Islam from taking unnecessary risks, avoid rushed camps, and make sure every title defense is done with full preparation. His influence remains strong, and when he speaks, the team listens. Ali emphasized that the UFC genuinely wanted this fight to happen. They were ready, the opponents were ready, and the January card needed a powerful main event. But Khabib's decision closed the door immediately. He didn't want Islam jumping into a fight on short notice, especially at welterweight, against dangerous names like Usman or Gary. The team chose patience, discipline, and long-term strategy over short-term opportunity. Ariel Helwani later responded to the situation, confirming that the UFC was pushing hard for this matchup and that Islam's camp took the offer seriously before shutting it down. The entire scenario shows how much control and guidance Khabib still brings to Islam's career, ensuring every move is smart, calculated, and focused on staying champion for a long time. Move on to another news. Leon Edwards has finally broken his silence after suffering that devastating knockout loss to Carlos Praz, a moment that shocked the entire MMA world. For weeks, Leon had disappeared completely. No interviews, no media appearances, and not a single message or reaction on social platforms. Fans were waiting, wondering, and speculating about his mindset, his health, and what might be next for the former welterweight champion. Then today, out of nowhere, Leon finally resurfaced. He posted a single photo on X, paired with a short but powerful message. "Yesterday's the past, tomorrow's the future, but today is a gift." The quote instantly blew up, spreading across MMA circles and bringing in reactions from fans, media members, and fighters. It showed that despite the heartbreak, despite the noise, Leon is choosing to stay present, focused, and mentally strong. For someone who built his career on resilience, staying locked in even after setbacks, this message carried real weight. But there's no denying the tough reality Leon is facing. He is now on a 3-fight losing streak, the toughest stretch of his entire career. First, he lost the welterweight title to Baila Muhammad at UFC 304 in a fight where he simply couldn't find his rhythm. Then, in another major setback, he was submitted by Sean Brady, a result that many didn't see coming. And now, that brutal knockout loss to Carlos Praz has left fans concerned about his momentum, his durability, and his future in the division. Still, Leon has never been the type to make excuses. His silence wasn't weakness, it was reflection. It was regrouping. And today's message shows he's ready to move forward, ready to rebuild, and ready to prove he's far from finished. The big question floating around the MMA community has been what's next for him. And while nothing is official, one matchup has been gaining real traction: the long-awaited fight with Jorge Masvidal. Their rivalry has history, emotion, and serious fan interest behind it. It's a matchup that has been teased for years, and even though the timing has changed, the heat between them has never cooled down. A fight like that could give Leon the chance for redemption, the chance to reset his momentum, and the chance to remind the world why he became champion in the first place. Whatever comes next, today's message shows he's still here, still focused, and still ready to chase greatness once again. Move on to another news. Kamaru Usman has shared his thoughts on the welterweight division, and he made it absolutely clear that aside from himself, the fighter he believes most deserves the next title shot is Carlos Prates. Usman, a former champion who understands exactly what it takes to reach the top, spoke with a level of confidence and respect that instantly grabbed attention. He explained that when he looks at the current crop of contenders, Prates stands out not just because of results, but because of the mindset, the hunger, and the way he approaches every single fight. Usman said that right now, if he had to choose someone after himself, he would pick Prates. He acknowledged that there might still be room for one more fight to really solidify everything, to let the impact of Prates' rise spread even further. But he emphasized that what the Brazilian has accomplished in such a short period is genuinely impressive. According to Usman, Prates hasn't had enough time for the ripple effect of his performances to fully touch the global audience. But even without that, his skills, his presence, and his drive speak loudly. What Usman admires most is Prates' willingness to fight anyone, anytime, with pure excitement and competitive fire. He said that even when Prates loses, he responds the right way. He takes accountability, he fixes the mistakes, and he returns better. For Usman, that mentality is what separates good fighters from great fighters. That attitude, he believes, is exactly the kind of energy the UFC values. Dana, the company, Hunter, and everyone behind the scenes are drawn to fighters who show heart, readiness, and constant improvement. And in Prates, Usman sees those qualities clearly. He also made sure to show respect to other rising contenders, mentioning that Morales has been impressive as well. There was no negativity, no criticism, just appreciation for what the new generation of welterweights is bringing to the division. Usman praised their performances, their work ethic, and the evolution they continue to show. But even with all that, he kept returning to one point. Right now, in his eyes, Carlos Prates is the one who stands out the most. It was a rare moment of honesty from Usman, delivered with the insight of a former champion who knows exactly what it means to grind, to improve, and to earn your shot at the gold. Move on to another news. Eddie Alvarez has shared a brutally honest breakdown of why he believes the UFC chose to book Paddy Pimblett versus Justin Gaethje for the interim lightweight title instead of giving that opportunity to Arman. According to Eddie, the decision wasn't personal, political, or based on favoritism. In his eyes, it simply comes down to one thing: Arman's resume and the UFC not viewing him as an exciting enough option for that specific spotlight. Eddie didn't hold back, explaining that the UFC often uses Arman to fill cards because so far, he hasn't delivered the level of excitement the promotion wants when building a massive pay-per-view moment. Eddie recalled a moment from his own career that shaped his perspective. After he fought Anthony Pettis, he walked to the back and asked for a title shot. Joe Silva looked him in the eye in front of several people and told him, "Yeah, you fight like that, you're never going to get a title fight." Eddie said he was furious at the time, embarrassed and angry, but years later, he realized Silva was right. Winning isn't enough. The fans, the promotion, the people who buy tickets and pay-per-views, they want something special. They want action, drama, intensity, blood, guts, something that sticks in your memory. If a fighter isn't delivering that, the UFC isn't going to push them into the highest profile positions. Eddie made it clear that if a fighter feels they're being held back, overlooked, or not given the fights they believe they deserve, sometimes the answer isn't politics. Sometimes it's the style. He said you can be a ground-heavy fighter and still be exciting. He pointed to Khabib as the perfect example. When Khabib took people down, he wasn't stalling. He was smashing, always hunting for a finish, always advancing, always creating damage. That's what fans in the UFC respond to. That's what builds superstardom. When it comes to Arman, Eddie acknowledged that he has solid wins: Beneil Darius, Charles Oliveira, Hooker, and Joel Alvarez. But he pointed out that these names, while respectable, don't compare to the level of names Oliveira faced during his rise, or the kind of high-profile opponents Gaethje has run through. And beyond that, the way Gaethje finishes his fights versus the way Arman simply wins them makes a big difference. Eddie's message was straightforward. If you're not getting the spot you want, you may need to adjust what you're giving the fans. Move on to another news. Mike Perry has fired off a harsh and explosive message toward Tom Aspinall, reacting directly to Tom's emotional update about his eye injury. Perry didn't hold back for a second. As soon as Tom shared his situation with fans, explaining the pain, the uncertainty, and the frustration he's been dealing with, Perry jumped in and essentially told him to toughen up. In Perry's words, Tom needed to be a man and stop crying about what he's going through. It was classic Perry, raw, unfiltered, and meant to hit hard. He pointed out how Tom had blown up incredibly fast in the heavyweight division. Tom became the next big thing almost overnight. He was the guy everyone was pointing at, the future of the division, the new threat on the block. Fans were hyping him up, saying he was the call. And during that rise, there were always people claiming others were ducking Tom, refusing to step in there with him because of how dangerous he was. The hype was real. But Perry made it clear that in moments like this, when adversity strikes, the world stops caring about hype. People want to see how you respond. Perry referenced Jon Jones, who had already labeled Tom a quitter in the aftermath of the injury drama. According to Mike, that comment ties directly into how the situation is being viewed. He said the pressure, the spotlight, the expectations. None of it matters when things fall apart. What matters is how you handle the struggle. Perry went on to bring up motivational figure David Goggins, almost mocking the idea of breaking down publicly. He said that if Goggins were watching, he'd tell Tom that life is hard and crying about it won't fix anything. Instead, he'd push Tom to keep moving, to push through the pain, to work even when everything feels broken. Perry's message got even more intense when he added that Tom should do push-ups, run miles, or grind through whatever he can, even with injuries. In Perry's mind, toughness is everything. Complaining, venting, showing vulnerability, none of that earns sympathy in the fight game. Perry delivered his message with that same gritty, unapologetic tone he always brings, making it clear he has zero patience for what he sees as weakness. It was a direct shot at Tom's character, his mindset, and the way he's choosing to handle adversity. Whether fans agree or not, Mike Perry's comments once again prove he's going to say exactly what he feels. No filter, no hesitation, pure chaos in every direction. Move on to another news. Joe Rogan has revealed the message he immediately sent to Dana White after witnessing Gable Stevenson's explosive 30-second knockout in Anthony Pettis' MMA promotion. Rogan was absolutely fired up after watching the clip, calling Stevenson a once-in-a-generation heavyweight talent. He said the heavyweight division right now is so empty, so starved for fresh, high-level athletes, that someone like Stevenson instantly stands out as a potential game changer. Rogan described Stevenson as the guy, repeating it several times as he reacted to the knockout. And the wild part is that Stevenson isn't even in the UFC yet. Rogan broke down why he believes the promotion needs to look at him seriously. Stevenson is an Olympic gold medalist, a freak athlete, around 250 pounds, and he moves with the fluidity and quickness of a cat. Rogan said that every physical tool a promoter dreams about in a heavyweight is packed into this one athlete. He explained that the moment he saw the knockout, he grabbed the clip and texted it to Dana White. He told Dana, "Everyone's sleeping on this guy." The knockout itself came from a perfectly timed left hand. Stevenson cracked his opponent clean, and as the guy collapsed, he instinctively took him down at the exact same moment. Rogan replayed it in his mind. The punch lands, boom, and instantly Stevenson is on him, securing the takedown as if it were part of the same motion. Rogan emphasized how insane that speed is, especially for a heavyweight. He said that's the kind of athletic ability you almost never see at 250 pounds. Rogan also pointed out Stevenson's ridiculous explosiveness outside traditional striking. He talked about Stevenson hitting a KO in a dirty boxing exchange, then immediately leaping over the top rope of the ring like it was nothing. He didn't climb, didn't push off the ropes. He literally hopped over them and landed clean on the apron with effortless precision. Rogan said that level of agility is absolutely crazy for someone that size. To Rogan, it's the speed, the power, the explosiveness, the wrestling pedigree, and the natural showmanship that makes Stevenson stand out. He said this is the type of athlete who could reshape the entire heavyweight landscape. And after seeing just one fight, Rogan didn't hesitate. He sent Dana that text because he believes Gable Stevenson could be the next big thing in the division, the kind of talent that doesn't come around often. Move on to another news. We've got some unfortunate updates coming out of the UFC, as a major matchup for UFC 324 has officially fallen apart. Late last night, Sherdog MMA reported that the highly anticipated fight between Rose Namajunas and Alexa Grasso had been canceled. According to the report, Grasso pulled out of the fight, and as of the moment this news broke, the reason behind her withdrawal remains completely unknown. There were no details, no hints, and nothing from her team explaining what forced her out. Luckily, the UFC moved fast and found a replacement, and it's one that caught a lot of fans off guard. Rose Namajunas will now take on Natalia Silva at UFC 324, a matchup that very few people expected to see this soon. What makes it even more surprising is that Valentina Shevchenko had publicly shown interest in fighting Silva next, but it seems Silva wanted to stay active, and the UFC clearly wanted to keep Rose on the card. For anyone who isn't familiar with Natalia Silva, it's time to wake up, because she's one of the most dangerous rising contenders in the division. She's currently on a dominant 7-0 run in the UFC, and her most recent victory actually came against Alexa Grasso, the very fighter who just pulled out. That alone adds an unexpected twist to this entire situation. Silva broke the news herself during an interview with Sherdog MMA. She explained that the UFC contacted her, informing her that Valentina wouldn't be ready to compete in January. They told her they wanted her to fight one more time, and that fight would be on January 24th against Rose Namajunas. Silva said she doesn't know what happened with Grasso, but made it clear that if she wants to become a UFC champion, she has to accept any challenge that comes her way. She said she'll be ready and fully prepared when the date arrives. Reacting to the matchup with Rose, Silva had nothing but respect for her new opponent. She said Rose Namajunas is extremely tough, with sharp footwork and a skill set that allows her to mix things up whenever she feels uncomfortable on the feet. She pointed out that Rose has great takedowns and knows how to keep opponents guessing. Silva revealed that she and her team have already begun studying Rose carefully and are working on a game plan designed to secure the win.